Ideas of Partnership Billy 20. June 2005, 16.35.
Many humans conceive ideas of anything and are then bitterly disappointed if these do not come true. In this way, there are ideas in regard to situations, to any events, to certain things and places, to enjoyment foods, etc., and the list could endlessly continue. About what the discussion here shall be, however, is the idea that humans conceive of other humans, specifically, with regard to a male partner or a female partner, which, as a rule, not only leads to heavy disappointment, psychological damage, and to depression, but also to many humans remaining alone and single their whole lives, or entering into partnerships that are doomed to failure from the very beginning. Very many women and men consciously, unconsciously, or subconsciously conceive ideas of how their male and female partner, respectively, should look, be cultivated and disposed, which, however, as a rule, rests on unfulfillable wishes, hopes, and expectations. Women and men dream, in their ideas, of a perfect ideal male and female partner, respectively. A perfect, slender body haunts the ideas, proportionally balanced so much like an Adonis or a lovely goddess. However, not only a perfect appearance is desired, but even the perfection of the person, including an impeccable character, as well as aligned interests in regard to work and hobbies. But the ideas also rest in that the male or female partner should be mature in manners and virtues, whereby there also must be no lack of honest love and the willingness to build a perfect family with many, many children and one's own home. Naturally, in addition to that, the finances must not come up short, because money and assets are absolutely important, which is why the earnings for the livelihood, all luxuries, and for all wish fulfillments must not be too low on both sides. The ideal male or female partner must totally be seen perfect in every respect, complete, and be willing to conform to the conceived ideas. But particularly this desired perfection is an unfulfillable idea, because there is no perfect and complete human, neither a woman nor a man, on the earth or anywhere in the universe. Therefore, if the human, female or male, becomes obsessed with the ideas of perfection and completeness in regard to a male or a female partner, then it results, as a rule, in the foregone conclusion that these ideas, wishes, expectations, and hopes are never fulfilled. Ideas are right and good if the human sets out to do something, such as dealing with a job, building a house, planting a tree, or performing a day's work, for which he conceives the final result. And he strives for this by preparing himself for it, and working towards it till the conceived goal is reached, and the idea is therefore realized. However, to harbor and to cultivate ideas in regard to a human, how this human has to have a perfect and complete nature in many a thing, and should conform to all ideas, expectations, hopes, and wishes, is quite simply illusory. The human, woman, or man cannot be judged by his appearance, not by his money and possessions, not by his occupation and hobby, and not simply by his inclinations, and also not by his slimness or obesity, if the ideas go there. In fact, the great value of the human lies in his mental toughness, in his true, honest, humane, and positive thoughts and feelings, in the state of his consciousness and psyche, in his attitude, in his virtues, in the true love, as well as in his effective knowledge and that of inner peace, which he can impart outwardly. But the true value of the human is also based on his inner freedom and harmony, which he can also release outwardly. It is also his dignity and his wisdom, in addition to many other high values, that turn a human into a true human and place him far outside of every idea. If the human, female or male, endeavors to seek and to accept a male or female partner, respectively, only according to his ideas, then, as a rule, he remains alone so long till he departs from his ideas and puts these aside. And this is so because the ideas will never, or only in the rarest of all cases, be fulfilled. Because ideas in regard to humans, as a rule, remain pipe dreams that often lead to loneliness or to hate towards the fellow humans because they cannot be fulfilled. And if a human finds another who apparently conforms to his own ideas, then it soon turns out that everything only corresponds to a delusion, and the ideas all at once fade away like sound and vanish like smoke. It is often such that a crisis slowly begins to loom for relationships entered into or couples already married without the male and female partners really taking note, which leads to the problems and crises slowly but surely becoming ever more frequent and more getting out of control. If things are not clarified and rectified immediately, or at least in a useful period of time, whereby a compromise is perhaps necessary, then the relationship or marriage is therewith doomed to failure. With the whole thing, it is also necessary that a subjugation or bondage of the male or female partner does not arise, but that personal freedom in every respect is ensured. Furthermore, it also must not emerge that the male or female partner is not willing to compromise and simply stubbornly and unreasonably insists on a view or position, because, through such an attitude, no useful and productive exchange of views and no agreement, as well as no understanding towards and for one another can take place. It also must not be such that one side simply gives in for the sake of peace and submits and adapts to the demands, wishes, or views, etc., of the other, because even this behavior is absolutely wrong and leads to misery and to the destruction of a relationship or marriage. A rude awakening is the rule because sooner or later it is deeply ascertained that the ideas were wrong, futile, and unfulfillable, because all the things that corresponded to the ideas were only a bad game. Disharmony, discontentment, argument, strife, grief, and sorrows of all kinds are the consequence, which very quickly leads to the breakdown of the relationship, and eventually, inevitably, to separation and to divorce. The dream that rests on unreal ideas, unfulfillable wishes, on false hopes and fantastic expectations is suddenly over. The final result of the ideas inevitably is that strife and bondage as well as vicious exchanges of insults and scenes of jealousy, etc. emerge, that the humans irritate each other, harassing till intolerableness, whereby also an estrangement unavoidably comes about, if a genuine acquaintance and affinity for one another ever existed at all. Suddenly it turns out that the affinity only rested on pure imagination, as did the supposed love, and the common bond was nothing other than a hokum created through wrong ideas and through wishful thoughts and a craziness or confusion of feelings that never had something to do with the reality and the truth in any way. Ideas in regard to humans never lead to success, because ideal humans created in ideas do not exist and consequently are illusory. But if this fact is opposed, and one does act according to ideas, then the bitterness of dire consequences cannot be avoided. Therefore, it is of fundamental importance that an ideal male or female partner is sought not according to ideas, wishes, hopes, and expectations, but that contacts are sought and established through good and clear interpersonal relationships in order to learn to know the pertinent fellow human in his true inner and outer values, in order to learn to value and love him according to his true inner being. What must have no relevance in this matter are what occupation or hobby is given, as well as what commonalities exist, what system of knowledge or beliefs the human belongs to, and how the proportional physical appearance and the physical attractiveness turned out, etc. In fact, these are namely trivialities that, in a good, true, and valuable relationship between male and female partners, have no significance with regard to being human, as well as to love and to the welfare of a mutual partnership. The physical proportions and the personal characteristics, gestures and habits, etc., are also of no significance. Neither is how the human dresses, because these things are just as purely personal as the personal interests and the opinion, or the belief in which nobody must interfere and on which nobody must place demands, neither a male or female partner. Every human has his free will, his free pros and cons in every matter, etc., but also his free actions, if everything is right and proper. In this way, no human has a right to interfere in the neighbor's life if this is lead, according to what is right and law and to the given order. And this also applies in a partnership, because only in this way can the personal freedom be preserved. To dictate the male or female partner is not right, and is a malicious intrusion upon the personality's right, as well as a curtailment of free will and free decision-making. But now if ideas are conceived of a human, then all the things of personal freedom, etc., are inevitably questioned, because if care and attention are lavished on ideas in regard to a human, then pressure is automatically exerted on the other, and one tries to mold this other human with all dishonest means, according to one's own model. In this way, ideas in regard to another human are therefore for him connected with necessary qualifications that must correspond to the harbored ideas. However, this means that for the human at whom the ideas are directed, the personal freedom is disputed or effectively taken away immediately. This is namely because the ideas demand of him anything that he does not correspond to and that he cannot do justice to, because altogether it is solely and alone another human's unattainable product of imagination that cannot be complied with if the human remains himself and protects his personal freedom and his peace, and does not want to become dependent on and submissive to another who makes unfulfillable demands through his ideas. Therefore, a relationship or partnership can and must never be based on ideas, wishes, hopes, and expectations, as well as not on demands and not on rules, etc., because otherwise it is doomed to failure just as inevitably as when these things are revealed only in the course of time after a breakup of a partnership. Nevertheless, however, if a relationship or partnership has been formed this way, then it is not long-lasting, because in the course of time, an awakening takes place in such a way that, namely, the reality reveals itself, because with the imagined, hoped-for male or female partner, all those things that deviate far from the imagined ideal slowly but surely reveal themselves and come to light. The rule shows that if a relationship comes into being, then the human only shows his apparently best side, which, however, it all depends, crumbles slowly or quickly and makes room for the reality, and therefore the actual nature of the human concerned, and the longer the more brings this to the fore. Therefore, sooner or later, the ideal disappears, whereby a state of discord, quarreling, shattering jealousy, and sheer relationship or marriage horrors, etc., inevitably arises from the ideas, wishes, expectations, and hopes.
Ignorance, Problems, Frustration, and Gewalt 26. June 2005, 14.49 Billy.
Most humans are devoid of all knowledge in regard to the meaning of life, and, moreover, are overloaded with their daily problems and worries. However, they are also extremely badly educated for life and all of its ups and downs. They are uneducated in regard to the true, right, and valuable forms of lifestyle, and also with regard to dying and death, by which every human is inevitably overtaken at any hour of any day. The poor education regarding this, which would have to take place already from childhood onwards, leads to the humans breaking down, being at wit's end and not being able to solve and overcome their problems in a useful period or at all. These are, however, not the only worries and problems, etc., with which the uneducated or even only badly educated humans keep struggling, burden themselves and turn life into a farce and hell, as well as into one of frustration themselves. Problems, trouble, and worries of all kinds pass through the entire life of most humans, also in regard to relationships outside marriage and with regard to marriage. Too many believe that a relationship outside marriage, when two humans get together in marriage-like form without an official marriage ceremony, or the marriage itself is a true sex adventure, and that's the most important relationship link between two humans, which, however, is not truly so because a relationship outside marriage or a marriage does not consist only of the fulfillment of sexual desires. A relationship outside marriage or marriage between two humans, regardless of whether same-sex or male and female, signifies that a solid connection has been formed, one that must be based on a rigid basis of trust and on a thinking, feeling solidarity, as well as on a profound sense of common bond, on honesty, virtues, and love, as well as on the value till death separates you. Valuable interpersonal content must be given, as much as a stable existence, to respect each other, and to always be present for each other, and helpful to each other in every situation till the end of life. A relationship outside marriage or a marriage signifies a union on a voluntary basis, without any force playing even only the smallest role. Also, valuable material objects, education, title, and other material things of every kind must play no role, but rather solely and alone true love, and all the values resulting from it. But it is exactly true love and all the values that emerge from it that nowadays are no longer in demand and have no more validity. Today, only material values, money, title, occupation, education, and luxury are valid, for which the male or female partner can answer, which is why the establishment of a relationship outside marriage or the entering into an official marriage says, "Till money or other values divorce you." However, this means that every relationship outside of marriage or every marriage is already from any beginning just as doomed to failure as every true wish for a family and children. It will never work in a relationship outside marriage, or in a marriage that one partner oppresses or maltreats the other. Neither in a same-sex nor in a different-sex relationship or marriage is the male or female partner the property of the other partner, but rather every partner has the right to complete freedom in every respect, if this largely agrees with the right of partnership and the law. Therefore, a relationship outside marriage or an official marriage is also not an imprisonment because such a thing is compatible neither with love, joy, and peace, nor with freedom and happiness, therefore with the high values, which must be given unconditionally in a relationship or marriage. If these values are disregarded in a relationship outside marriage or in a marriage, then it is not possible for the existence of the relationship or marriage to be saved, certainly not with Gewalt and terror, not with jealousy, not with a stick and carrot as well as not through fighting, ill treatments, stubborn silence or through screaming, outbursts of rage, through threats or hate, etc. Actually, every relationship outside marriage as well as every marriage can come about as well as stay alive for the duration of life only through the adherence to virtues, humaneness, real love, and all values resulting from that. To these high values also belong tolerance and honest understanding, as well as the will to not dispute with the male or female partner the meaning of life, the evolution of the consciousness, and to help everything so that the joy of life steadily grows and remains preserved on both sides. Unfortunately, it is such, the longer the more, that the high values for a marriage or a relationship outside marriage, as well as for a friendship and true interpersonal relationships, are only hollow words that fade and disappear somewhere in the endlessness. This leads, in fact, to discord, jealousy, conflict, and hate, belonging to the order of the day as much as rape and fighting in very many partnerships of unmarried or married people. And it is wrong to assume here that only the male maltreats the female partner, because also the reverse is the order of the day, also in the case of same-sex partnerships. Only simply less is spoken of it because the men are too ashamed to admit that they are beaten, raped and maltreated thoroughly, and treated and handled like servants, slaves, and like they are lower than dogs by their female partners. This is an unquestionable fact, but it must be said that in regard to this, sooner the women are the greater sufferers, because actually it is true that very many men execute evil Gewalt on their female partners or wives. And in such cases, without exception, sufferers are also children, even if women beat up their men, at least in the way that they experience the whole marriage-related terror and thereby suffer psychic damage, which very often leads to behavioral disturbances and to social excesses. Not seldom the children are even included in the fighting, whereby they also suffer physically and must endure great pain. Marriage circumstances of this kind more and more often degenerate in such a way that family dramas develop by mothers or fathers murdering parts of the family or even destroying the whole family. The question about this is why such unbelievable things happen. How can it come to this, that humans degenerate in this way, the longer the more? Fundamentally, it is the wrong upbringing as a result of no comprehensive education for life and life's conduct taking place. In this way, already from the earliest age onwards, the children are neglected, badly brought up, left alone to themselves and not informed and not taught in all those things that life will demand of them. No proprieties of life whatsoever are explained to them. No education in the conduct of life takes place. The fundamental important matters of birth, life, dying, death, and mourning are not taught out of fear and irrationality. And also no education takes place in regard to the sexuality of interpersonal relationships and relationships outside marriage. Also, no education takes place with regard to the marriage ceremony and marriage conduct, as well as to all important matters regarding family conduct, and not enough is done in the dealing with children. Also, any facts of the social sphere as well as of the social norms and of the social rights in social life are ignored, as is the meaning of life, which consists in the conscious evolution of the consciousness. With that, the human progresses evolutively, changes himself for the better, and creates love, freedom, peace, and harmony within himself, as well as outwardly. If the children lack the necessary and good upbringing through the parents, then no self-discipline with the children can even occur. This means that they go out into the world with poor qualifications and are not able to cope with the turmoil of the environment and of existence. Already in adolescence, if not years earlier, they are directionless in such a way that they find no way in life, flip out and follow paths that all lead to bad company and to antisocial elements as well as to aggression, non-virtues, indignity, dishonesty, and to the complete disregard of the neighbor's right to psychic and physical integrity. However, due to ignorance, wrong upbringing, and the problems and frustration resulting from that, all rights of the neighbors are ignored and treated with contempt. These are despotically considered as personal property, as slaves who can be raped, beaten, and tormented even at whim. Therefore, as a rule, the misery which was already conditioned in the children by the parents through the wrong upbringing takes its course unstoppably in the life of adolescents and adults. And the way their parents were subjected to the same wrong upbringing and passed this on with all the evil consequences to their children, it is the same with the children when they are growing or have become adults. If the children grow up or they become adults, then they make poor contacts without good interpersonal relationships to other humans, relationships outside marriage, or in an official marriage. And these are just completely doomed to failure because they lack the necessary forms that make possible a coexistence in true love and freedom, as well as in peace, happiness, and harmony. Gewalt in the relationship, and Gewalt in the marriage and against the children become a daily routine, yet the governments and authorities, the police and neighbors, etc., do not do anything about it, but only when it is too late. Only when the children have already been beaten to death, a partner has been murdered, or the entire family has been destroyed, do the authorities step in and the neighbors, etc., report something, finally showing their blindness in regard to the beatings or murders by their declaring to have known nothing about any of that. The reasons for relationship, marriage, and family dramas can be very diverse, and additionally find their forms beyond wrong upbringing and ignorance, such as in a rumor that a jealous female neighbor or a spiteful or envious male neighbor spreads in order to vent her or his frustration on the male neighbor, on the female neighbor, or on the neighbor's whole family. Also, a male or female colleague whose relationship or marriage does not function and is therefore dissatisfying and creates problems can be a trigger for a relationship, marriage, or family catastrophe. It may also be that a partner suffers from workplace bullying, must accept injustices in the workplace, or is slandered, comes into conflict with the law, is unemployed, or is not able to cope with the job and the job staff, whereby frustration then arises, which is vented on the other partner, on the children, or on the whole family. Actually, there is an enormous number of reasons why Gewalt appears in a relationship, in a marriage, or in a family, but problems are never solved through this. But the fact is that when problems arise in interpersonal relations, and in a relationship outside marriage, or in a marriage and family, that fundamentally for all Gewalt and problems, the wrong upbringing of the children and their being not educated on the part of the parents or other guardians are to be blamed. If the children cannot learn the necessary rules of life in every respect from the parents, then they, in adolescence and in adulthood, do not or only extremely seldom find the way to self-discipline in order to bring oneself up to be a true, virtuous, and upright human who also fits in with the healthy norms of the social system and helps to support this according to his best knowledge and conscience. Truly, in the current time, in which the great mass of humans, young or old, only carries on an uninhibited chase for the filthy mammon, for addiction, vice, pleasure, power, prestige, and luxury, it is very difficult to give one's hand to what is good and valuable. Therefore, it is also immensely difficult for most humans to find and apply all the values that are of necessity as much for a good interpersonal relationship as for a valuable and long-lasting relationship outside marriage, or an official marriage, and an eventual family and children. As long as the power of mammon and all materialistic things rule the world and the humans, it is hardly possible to change something for the better, because for the greedy behemoths, only the usefulness and amenities of mammon and materialism matter, but not life, a good marriage or interpersonal relationship or relationship outside marriage. Many humans live today on the edge of their existence, have no goal in mind, live in want, are unemployed and on the verge of despair. Nonetheless, the ones who govern do not endeavor to put a stop to this evil, while the other humans who are well off or reasonably well off shut their eyes and ears to it according to the motto, "Why should I be my neighbor's keeper?" Or, "Why should I care about the fate of my neighbor?" Therefore, nobody is concerned about the misery, worries, and problems as well as the frustration of the fellow humans. These should help themselves nevertheless according to the motto, "Do or die." However, very many cannot help themselves because they were not already taught and informed from childhood onwards how they are able to help themselves. Therefore, they inevitably sink in situations from which they are not able to free themselves anymore. But how would they even, if they are lacking the necessary education for that? They fall more and more deeper into their worries and problems, and then they suddenly go berserk. This is then the moment where the ones who govern, and those who are still fortunate to be well off or reasonably well off, take note of the needy. But if these do not go berserk and vegetate simply silently in their distress or in their misery, then they go unnoticed by those who govern, as well as by those who are still well off or reasonably well off. The humans of today are already degenerated in such a way that they are no longer capable of making life-promoting culture, of opening an eye and the ear for the needy neighbors, let alone capable of entering into a marriage or a relationship outside marriage that is stable for life. This is completely apart from the fact that even the true virtues are only just recorded on paper and, like true and honest interpersonal relationships, are not fostered anymore by the humans. And together with the ones who govern are also the religions and sects, which are incapable of teaching the laws and recommendations of creation and teaching the humans that education in every respect must be provided, and the true rules, laws, and recommendations of life must be learned and followed. And since this instruction is as lacking as all necessary education and the compliance with the creational natural laws, the humans in this manner are also no longer capable of creating new forms and rules of life that are in service of all of humanity, and would remove all existing evil in the course of time. Already are the humans no longer capable of seeking for the true path of life and the comprehensive consciousness-expanding evolution, whereby they inevitably lose not only their nerves, but also their joy, their freedom and harmony, as well as their peace and their happiness.